and welcome to Real Actors, Real Answers, the video podcast where you are the star. I am so excited about interviewing this gentleman. His name is Timothy Cox. He is a chameleon of sorts when it comes to acting. I've watched his reels and his IMDb, and I'm just thrilled to introduce him to you now. Timothy Cox, how are you doing?
Thank you, David. I'm doing wonderful. It's the sun is shining in Ohio, and it's for the moment it's nice and warm. But I know it's going to change very, very soon.
Michigan is the same way.
Yeah. That winter, it can't make up its mind. It still wants to be nice, but then the cold's coming in. But no, I'm ready for the fall. I got my fall. I call this my George from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf sweater. I haven't played George yet, but when if hopefully do play it, I have the sweater all ready to go.
All right, you open the door. Have you ever been in that show?
I haven't, but that's a bucket list show. That or Iceman Cometh. I want to do all of the easy shows. All of the shows that are at least 3 or 4 hours long. But no, like there are a lot of actors want to climb the Hamlet Mountain or the Lear Mountain. It's O'Neill, Miller, Albee, all of the ones where you have to dig so deep that you probably scare yourself.
I could see you in All My Sons doing one of the characters.
Oh God, I love that show. I just recently watched. They had on YouTube. It was I think the old Vic. David Suchet was playing Joe Keller, and he was fantastic. And it's a fantastic show.
Have you done theater then?
Oh yeah. That's actually where I started. I started out doing theater. The extent of my ambitions was that I wanted to be a good supporting actor in the theater, and didn't think really about movies. I just wanted, when I graduated from college in 1999, I wanted to be a road actor, go and work with repertory theaters and stock companies, and save the American theater with my character acting. And that's kind of what I sort of did in New York and around, just doing a lot of Shakespeare and Chekhov and things like that.
Beautiful. Shakespeare and Chekhov.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of roles were those, if you'll share that?
With Shakespeare, I was playing character roles. Like let's see, I've done Leonardo and Much Ado About Nothing 3 times. I played Peter Quince in Midsummer like 2 or 3 times. A couple of Poloniuses, and so yeah, like I've had the beards and the grays and the fake noses and all of that pretty much from when I started, and those are the fun characters. I mean, Polonius, it's like the best part, because you come on, you have a couple of famous speeches, you get killed, then you get to go backstage and play cards for 2.5 hours.
That's hilarious. Now you're just talking. You're taking the magic and just exposing the tricks.
Oh yeah.
But it's true. When you're done, you're done.
I mean, what I admire, like the Hamlet, the actors that do that. It was never, I don't know, maybe in the beginning, you thought like, oh, it would be nice to play Hamlet, but I have to admit, all of the characters around him were more interesting and more challenging to me. With Polonius, there are, you could play him 100 different ways. You could play him where he's kind of, humorous, and then, you could play him where he's very devious and cunning, and that's kind of, fun to play around with that. And, I always stuck to the character parts.
Okay, because I've never thought about that. Thank you, Tim. You have Hamlet, and Hamlet, is theoretically speaking, it's like you play him the same way all the time, basically, because there was like Kenneth Branagh, and then there was Mel Gibson version, for example, and they had 2 different approaches, but you just opened the door that I never even thought of. The surrounding characters, the supporting characters, are just as important, if not more.
Oh, sure. I mean, citing the examples, you look at Derek Jacobi and Alan Bates, 2 fantastic performances as Claudius. And as much as I love Branagh and Mel Gibson, when I'm watching those performances, I'm watching them just because you know what Hamlet wants to do, but it's kind of like you want to see with like Jacoby, especially all of the wonderful things like is he going to catch him? Does he know that Claudius is the one that is pulling the strings on all of that? And same thing with with Polonius, the great Richard Briers and Ian Holm and all of the other actors who've played all of these great these parts. You just want to see like how I don't know, they're like, to me, the supporting characters have always been more interesting to me, and it's always the same way whenever I watch movies or go to the theater. You always want to see what the other characters are doing, and that's what always appeals to me.
Very true. You said there's a lot of truth in what you said. How did you start out? What was your first role, and how were you inspired?
I was in 8th grade, and I was a class clown, but I had no desires or aspirations to be an actor. I wanted to be a baseball player. I wanted to play third base for the Phillies. And they had the auditions for the school play during the school day, and it was going to take place during math class. And I would have given anything to get out of math class. So I went to the audition just to get out of class. The director, I auditioned. I think we sang Doe a Deer, Doe a Deer, a female deer. And it was all of us in just this auditorium, 50, 60 kids. And it wasn't like a private audition. They called your name, you stood up, you sang your song, and then you sat back down. He calls my name, I stand up and I start singing, and the director stops and he kind of looks at me a minute. And he goes back, and I thought, oh God, I'm not going to get cast. But oddly enough, he cast me as the male lead, and it was a musical version of the O. Henry story of the Gift of the Magi called Rags to Riches. And that was where I got not only my first laugh, but I got probably my most important acting note. The principal of the school, and I didn't realize the importance of this note until about 20, 25 years later. The principal of the school, Sister Phyllis, she comes back to the dressing room before one of the performances, and she pulled me aside and she said, "You're good. You have really good natural instincts, but here's the best advice that I could ever give you. Don't act, react." Said, just, and that was the day she told me about Spencer Tracy. And she said, when you get a little older, watch Spencer Tracy and you know what I'm talking about. And about 20 years later, another actor, I was doing a play, another actor said, you got to watch Spencer Tracy. And I watched him and Jack Lemmon, and they became the influences of because they're great reactors, they're great listeners, which is, you learn as time goes on that is such an integral part of acting. It's listening and reacting and just really taking in what is going on in the scene.
So there's listening and there's reacting. Opposite of responding. What's the difference as an actor?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's something that you feel if you and I are doing a scene, whether I'm that's funny. I've never really thought about it like that. I just yeah, it's interesting. It's a hard question to answer because it's kind of it's not exactly something that I could put into words. It's something that I don't know. You feel it, when the relationship between the other actor. I will say that I have always felt that my performance comes from the other actor. So maybe like that, in that kind of a response and that kind of listening and in reacting, I don't know, you kind of, that's usually how, but it's hard to put into words, but it's something that I think if you work a certain way for a number of years, it just becomes second nature.
I like what you said. It makes a lot of sense that your reaction has to do, I'm putting it in my own words, but your reaction has to do with the supporting character, the person you're acting with.
Yeah.
That gets your mind off of yourself and causes you to listen. And then the reaction, help me here, the reaction would be staying in the moment and not anticipating what's next.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And whether you're in the theater or on film, it has to be definitely in the moment and honest and true, and also being open and available for things that, what Peter Sellers used to call happy accidents, things that in a scene that, like there's the famous scene in On the Waterfront where Eva Marie Saint drops the glove and Brando picks it up, and and she kind of looks off camera like wondering if Elia Kazan's going to say cut, and he's just sitting there playing with the glove, and he's putting his fingers in, and and it's just it goes along, like you never know what things are going to happen, but you have to remain honest and true and react honestly.
That's true, because things could happen, such as The Glove. I love that movie. There's nothing bad about that movie. That's an amazing film.
That's an acting that watching that movie, that's like going to school, because you get not only Brando, but you get Carl Malden and Lee J. Cobb and Rod Steiger and Eva Marie Saint, and just the whole school of like acting, and just that's a masterclass.
I can sense your creativity just coming out of your pores. How long have you been doing this?
Let's see. I did that first play in 1990, and I've been doing it ever since, and it's still fun, and I'm still a student at this whole thing. I think one of the things that has helped me grow as an actor is that if you go in to every performance, every play, every film job, one with a sense of gratitude and a sense of like the whimsy of a student, light on your feet, you learn, you still learn, and it's fun to do that. It's still fun to be like, I just turned 46 yesterday, and I've been doing this for more than half my life, and I still feel like a work in progress. And I think that's a very, very healthy way to approach all of this, because I think they asked John Gielgud when he was in his 90s, he said, Sir John, what's the secret about acting? And he said, I know. And it's true. I don't know if anyone ever really gets to a point where you have all of the answers. You could always have one more rehearsal, one more take, one more, I did the stage version of Misery a couple of months ago, and I could have done that forever, just because, just when you feel like you're in a groove, and, you feel like, things are starting to really cook, and then it always comes to an end, that's how it goes, I guess, sometimes. But
you did Misery. I didn't even know that was on stage.
Yeah, they did it. It's an adaptation of the William Goldman screenplay for the 1990 film, and it was done on Broadway about 7 or 8 years ago. And it's been kind of making its way around a lot of theaters around the world now, because two-handers, I guess. But I mean, it's from a set standpoint, it's very demanding. But it was a blast.
Did you play James Caan's role?
I did, and yeah, I had so much fun being tortured. I had a blast. I'd do it again.
Really? That must have been amazing.
Oh, it's fun. Well, and also, when I started work on, like, I had about maybe 5 or 6 months to prepare, and you're sitting there looking at the script, and I said, my God, this is the man who wrote Marathon Man and The Princess Bride and All the President's Men, and and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and it's like, my God, I get to say this Academy Award winning screenwriter's words, and I said, don't mess it up.
Yeah. What was your biggest challenge, or has been your biggest challenge, in the business of it, or in the artistic, show business, in your lifetime?
I think the biggest challenge is, I'm a character actor, and there are some in the, in the managerial or agent area who don't quite know what that means, or don't know what to do with that. Traditionally character actors were, actors who were not, handsome enough to be leading men, or what have you. But I think from a business standpoint, because I'm 5'6", I'm a character actor, and so in that respect, agents and managers somewhat haven't known what to do with me. It hasn't been a frustration. It's something that I've always kind of known, but from time to time it does creep in and does get a little there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, I would love to be 5'10" or 5'11", but that's not the cards I was dealt. And so you work with the cards that you're dealt, and you try to do as best you can with it. But yeah, I would say if anything, like trying to some in the business trying to figure out what to do with me. Like having a discussion with an agent the other day, they had said like you're talented, but it's a hard thing. Like I don't see many actors market themselves as a character actor. He said a lot of actors just come out and they want to play the leads or what have you, but like you market yourself specifically as a character actor, and it's hard to kind of figure out how to work with that. So, there's an old line, Jimmy Buffett said in one of his songs, you breathe in, you breathe out, and you move on, and you just keep climbing up the mountain. That's all you can do.
Do you like playing character roles?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're that I think they are the most interesting. Like Polonius, there's so much there that's fun to play around with. It's kind of like, is he really as Claudius and Gertrude, they kind of tolerate him and they're possibly annoyed by him, but is it all an act? And like all of those kinds of things, it's so much fun to play around with, because same thing with Dogberry or Leonardo and Much Ado. I mean, the beautiful thing about the classics is that there's so much there, so much material there that you could play around with, and you can fill in the blanks with other kinds of things that as long as they stay within the bounds of the intentions and the objectives of the production, you can really have a lot of fun. I've always equated a character actor with being like the sixth man on a basketball team, not the star, the person that comes off the bench, scores their point, and then sits down. Like when Kirk Gibson hit that famous home run when he was playing for the Dodgers. He's coming off the bench and all battered and bruised, hits a home run, and that's like a character actor. It's like you come in, score their point, and then they limp off the field. And that's always how I've looked at it and how I've always kind of approached it.
I love that analogy. Are you working on any current projects that you can share?
I have a project here in Cincinnati that I'm going to start working on in January, a vampire film where I play a priest who has a kind of a dark secret of his own. That'll be fun. Let's see. I worked on a horror short a couple of months ago, also in Cincinnati, where I played the leader, a cult leader. And that was fun. You got to be kind of a little big and broad. But no, a lot of things, I have a Western that, I've gotten into Westerns over the last couple of years. With the pandemic, I was watching a lot of movies and TV shows, and Westerns was a genre that I just happened to get into. And I'm looking forward to working on a Western in the next year or so. And then there's another vampire film where I'm playing a sheriff. So after things are picking up again. Now, of course, it's always just the early stages. As the productions, they try to raise money and all of that. And that, of course, takes time. But just out there auditioning.
Yeah, you mentioned the finance part. I know Kentucky is having a windfall right now of tax incentives. How is Ohio?
Yeah. I'm not sure, but I am aware of the the windfall in Kentucky. Hopefully, I don't know if Ohio's gotten a taste of that, but it would be nice. I would imagine, given how close they are, I would imagine if Kentucky got something like that, Ohio, if they haven't already, they would certainly love it.
Question. Let's back up just a little bit. Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
Chekhov. but especially Shakespeare. What is that language all about? And I say that on the benefit because I've done Shakespeare, but there's many people out there are intimidated by the language.
Yeah, it took me a while, even through after college, because Shakespeare was intimidating. And I think, in the beginning, you think about the lineage of actors, not American actors, but you think about the Gilgoods and the Oliviers and the Guinnesses and all of that. And it's like, oh, well, that's just a completely different style, or that's just a completely different world. But then when I moved to New York and I would see Shakespeare in the Park and would see Kevin Kline and American actors making it their own, and I thought, wow, it is possible. And really, the thing that I've learned was that when I do a Shakespeare, I go out and you just read everything that you can about the production, about the characters. And yes, you do listen and watch other performances, not to kind of, I always listen to other performances to see if what I'm doing, if I'm on the right track of what, that's what, like I did a reading of Hamlet last year where I played Claudius. And I must have watched 12 different Claudiuses just to, I watched with Derek Jacobi and with Alan Bates, and I said, oh, that's good. Every actor steals, but it's kind of like mostly to make sure that I understand that, oh, okay, I understand what's being said. But the key way to understand Shakespeare is to do it. It's like with anything. And, and go see it as much as possible. When I would see Shakespeare in New York and Shakespeare in the Park, that opened my eyes a lot, because I thought, oh, you don't have to be, from Great Britain. I think John Gielgud even said the best Shakespeare performance that he ever saw was Brando doing Julius Caesar. Now, of course, who trained Brando? John Gielgud. So,
Okay.
But it's I think with Shakespeare, and the beautiful thing about Shakespeare is that when you get the rhythms, every playwright has a rhythm, it's like music. Once you get that rhythm, I swear it's a beautiful feeling. I'm sitting out in my backyard right now. And I want to do the Forest of Arden speech from As You Like It, because you do it and it stirs something in you. When Shakespeare, or when good poetry, when good writing really, when you really click with it. But I think the way you learn it is just by reading it, doing it, seeing it, immersing yourself in it as much as possible.
Thank you. How important is it as an actor to have patience?
I think that's everything. I think that's a part of what we do. I think it is most definite. Patience is everything, because you're going to hear no 99 times before you hear yes once, and you just have to have the mentality that I have always had. And this is something from being a supporting actor, from being a character actor. The mentality is the next job is always around the corner. And you have to be patient and understanding that you as the actor are a business, and not everybody is going to buy what you sell. There are going to be those that, and I talk to directors and producers, and they say that, well, every actor that comes in, we would love to cast them. Well, that's a nice idea. But the reality is that, they would like to cast, but they can't. And so there are more actors than there are parts. And so if you come in with the right attitude and the right mentality, and be patient, and just don't quit. I've been doing this for more than half my life. It's still fun. It's still enjoyable. I'm patient for every, I'm this morning, I'm checking Actors Access and Backstage and social media and all of that, for the next thing, the next challenge. And, it's peaks and valleys. You're going to have periods of activity and periods of great inactivity, but you got to keep your mind fresh, and remember why you want to be an actor. If you want to be an actor to be a movie star or make money, there are lots of other things that you could do to make money. It has to be about the work, the feeling of whenever I walk into a rehearsal room or onto a film set and in a room with a bunch of actors, especially now after the last couple of years, there is that feeling of home, of community. That's the reason why I still do it and why the patience is worth it.
I feel you. I understand you. Empathize. Absolutely, 100%. I have to ask about this one. Well, first, before I ask that, I'm going to ask this. Who's the funnest person you've had a chance to work with? The most fun, most interesting, good chemistry.
Oh God, there is a dear friend of mine named Lawrence Lesher. He is an actor and a director, and let's see, we've probably done about 15, 16 plays together, and he directed this production of Misery that we recently did. Whenever I work with him, with Larry, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like we're two kids playing recess time. And that, even when we're doing like this, intense murder mystery, we're laughing, we're having a good time and, enjoying each other's company and enjoying the work. Every time I worked with him, and they're always my best experiences and my most challenging experiences as an actor. So even when we're having all of this fun, he still secretly pushes me as an actor, and that's the mark of a really, really good director. Like without even he finesses, like without even having to say anything. And that's like since 2006, that's been my joy. Like just working with him on all the productions we've done.
I've known people like that. I can appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
The one in your reel, there's so much diversity. It's just amazing. But the one in American Poet really caught my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share about that? What was that about?
So that was that's set in Dayton, Ohio, and that was actually, I think, the first movie I did. My family and I, we moved from New York to Ohio in April of 2020 at the height of the pandemic, and when things were sort of slowly starting to get back to a place where people could go back to work, that was the first project. And it was very attractive because it was about Paul Laurence Dunbar, the legendary poet, who wrote the, who has the line, "I know why a caged bird sings," which Maya Angelou adapted into her famous book. And in this movie, I play the mayor of Dayton, who is having dinner with Mr. Dunbar and his mother at their home in an effort to kind of fix a potential sticky situation at this 4th of July celebration. I ask Mr. Dunbar to remove their hat during the singing of the national anthem, and Mr. Dunbar, we're not sure if he's going to, which leads to a kind of a tense exchange. And the character was really, really interesting to play because in the beginning, he is a politician. He is a politician through and through. And he comes in and he has this, I remember I played him as he's playing a part. Even though he's coming into a stranger's house, he is the one in control. He's a politician. He's used to owning the room. And something happens to him throughout the course of the film where that facade of the politician starts to slowly break away a little bit. You start to see a human being beneath that. All of that was all specific by Kane Stratton's wonderful direction. And just what I grasped from his wonderful script, that this is a guy who has the mask of a politician, and then slowly you realize that there's a human being under, and it was interesting to play, and it was a very moving experience. When A. Slate Williamson, who played Paul Laurence Dunbar, delivered that wonderful poem, it was extremely moving. The words, they were stirring.
I'm going to watch that. I'm going to look up that episode. How long ago? It was in 2020, you said?
Yeah, I think I did that in 2020. I think it came out in 2021, but I'd be happy to send you the film. It's a nice film. It's a really nice slice of a nice vignette about Ohio history, which I had a ball. I had a ball doing it.
Thank you. Yeah, if you could do that, I would love that.
I'd be delighted.
We have someone in common. I was looking it over just today, and you are with PCG with Peter.
Peter.
Peter's excellent. I'm with PCG too. How is it working with him?
Wonderful so far. I went in and I met with Peter maybe about like 5 or 6 months ago, and just real relaxed and fun, and he's got that wonderful accent. And you go in and you meet an agent and you think they're going to be in a suit or sitting behind with a cigarette in their hand, like and how it's portrayed in movies. And now, like Peter's just in a t-shirt, he's got flip-flops, and he's real casual and comfortable. And he was very, very nice, and you want that support. And him and Brandy Bodkin, who is mostly who I'm sure you interact with as well. She's wonderful and she's lovely. And no, they're great. They're a wonderful agency to work with.
Yeah, I remember when I first went in there, I had my headshots. I sent him, and I started to listen to him. He was with somebody in the back, and I thought, that's an Australian accent. That's really cool. And it took my nerves, it took them away. And I thought, he sounds kind. He sounds like a human being, So then I was more relaxed about going in there and felt right at home immediately.
Exactly. I mean, he puts you at ease. He really does. And just, because he sits on the other side and he meets actors all of the time, and he wants you at your best, and you really appreciate that from your representation. And now he's I like him very much.
How is your support team? As an acting coach, I always emphasize who is more important than what even though there's a little margin there. But who that's your support team is everything.
Oh, sure. Now, well, I'm very blessed. My wife is formerly an actress, and my wife Jamie is extremely supportive. And of course, my parents, from the moment that I started doing this, they've always been supportive. I mean, I grew up mostly in Wilmington, Delaware, and when I went to college in Marietta, Ohio, they would drive 500-600 miles to see me perform in a play, whether it was a lead or a supporting role. They have always been supportive. And my father gave me the greatest advice about being an actor. He said, be relentless. And it's true. It's what it's the little voice in my head. That's what I say all the time. Just be relentless, be patient, and be relentless. And I appreciate that, because we know actors, in many cases, whose parents have never seen them in a play or anything that they've done. And, that I can't imagine doing this work without the support of my wife and my family and my friends too.
It's important. And to keep in touch with them too, like the outer.
Absolutely. When during the pandemic, when we had Zoom readings and Zoom meetings, and of course it wasn't the same as being in person, but the feeling of the camaraderie, the support, being able to jump in and play a character and not watch the news for 2 hours, that was essential to one's sanity. And with my friends like Lawrence Lesher, you become each other's biggest fans. You become each other's cheerleaders, and you need more of that. I mean, there's a lot of things in this work that we do that love to pit us against each other, like award shows and things like that, which it's nice to get a pat on the back, but I think love and support, and I think that's much more interesting and much more, in the long run, much more valuable.
And lasting.
Absolutely.
Timothy Cox, it's such a privilege to talk to you and listen to you. It really touched my heart, and I'm sure other people as well. If someone wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
I am on Facebook. Let's see. I have, if you type in Timothy J. Cox, I, of course, have my main page, but I also have my kind of an official page, which I use as a website. It's official Timothy J. Cox official Timothy J. Cox on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. I keep my my IMDb page is pretty much, I use that mostly as my website. So I try to keep that updated as much as possible with other updates and projects and things like that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
One last question.
Sure.
Someone just getting into the business and they're excited and they love, like you do, they have that passion that they can't contain. You're not supposed to contain it. What kind of advice would you give to them?
I would say, one, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Two, audition for a play. Go to a theater, go to a community theater and audition for a play. Even if you don't get the lead, get on stage. If you have a friend that has an iPhone and you guys want to make a film, make a film. It doesn't, and just, it's kind of like, it's building a house. If you want to build a house, you build a house. With being an actor, the way to do it is to get out there and do it. Study, read, go to the theater, go to museums, listen to all kinds of music that stirs you, music that, might take you in a direction that you didn't expect. Same thing with movies. Watch old movies, watch new movies, watch foreign films, learn from, and that's, drink it all in. That's, but have that passion. I think the moment, if you do it, if I ever reach where I lose that passion or that desire, then it's time to pack it in. But if you have that drive, that energy, that need to tell a story through characters, do it. Do it as much as you can.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I love that. And again, thank you very much for being on Real Actors, Real Answers. It's been an honor. Really has.
Thank you, David. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.